Season 2 of Andor has just finished, and man, what a season. Real quick, I want to give the first season a quick review. I thought the first season was very good, way better than anyone expected. The prison arc and the heist arc were both incredible. This was a great season of television. Andor Season 1, it gets a 9.5 out of 10. Alright, so I'm going to give my thoughts on each arc individually. The first arc of the season, which I will call the TIE Fighter arc. I thought this was a great way to start the season. I loved how they built up so much tension with only one firefighter. I loved that little section of the story, and I thought it was great. The wedding storyline with Mon Mothma was good. I really like how they edited all the dance and the music during the third episode. The Empire inspection storyline was well done. I thought it was kind of intense sometimes. You've probably heard about that scene, and it's caused a lot of controversy. I personally don't get why people being mad that the bad guys are doing bad things. What were you expecting them to do? The arc's finale was a pretty solid episode. It was a great way to start the season. The second arc, which I'll be calling the Gorman arc, I have some pretty mixed feelings on this arc. I still thought it was good, but I just felt like it didn't particularly exceed, especially in anything. The arc is mostly just set up for the rest of the season. I did like that focus so much on Cyril because I think he's a great character and he was very interesting in this arc. I really liked Luthen's part of the arc as well. I thought the Saw Gerrera storyline was just fine. I wish Andor himself had a little more to do. I felt like it was a bit lacking in this arc. The arc's finale is the main reason I have mixed feelings because I personally didn't care for that little heist. I feel like each arc should be really building up to its big finale. I feel like this one just didn't really live up to what it could have been. I thought the heist was just kind of mixed. That big death was just so obvious when it happened. I wasn't even shocked. I didn't really care too much, really, to be honest with you. I didn't feel much tension. I didn't care for it really at all, just being honest. So it was quite disappointing for me. The removing on the sound device, however, from the art was amazing. I really loved how that was done. I thought that it was so well done and intense. The ending, however, shows that Andor and Bix had been their own side mission completely off screen. I personally thought it could have been much better if we actually saw what they were up to during this, but whatever. It's still a decent arc. The third arc I will call the Massacre arc. This arc was amazing. The first episode was short and to the point. It had some great final setup for the next episode, and the end of the episode was quite good. It was very much needed to make the next episode titled Who Are You work. Now, the next episode was especially amazing. This was fantastic, one of the most intense episodes of television that I've ever seen. Yes, it was all built up to a terrifying massacre of the Gorman people. I mentioned earlier how interesting Cyril was as a character, and I really liked how much his character changed during the episode. I mean, his whole character has been hating on Andor this whole time, only to realize Andor doesn't even know who he is. His reaction to that titular question was genius. Great episode. The following episode, Welcome to Rebellion, was another great episode. Mon Mothma's speech was powerful, and the section trying to escort her out was nerve-wracking, so well done. It's amazingly directed. It is an equally amazing episode and a great finish to an amazing arc. The fourth and final arc, which I will call the last one, was a great arc for the most part. I thought Claire was great in this arc, especially in a more standalone episode. Loved how they used flashbacks of her and Luthen to make the episode more tragic. It was another intense episode, very well made and great episode. Talk about the last two episodes together because they should have been just one episode. I understand they were doing 3 episodes per arc, but the break in between the episodes only hurt them, in my opinion, for what was already a great episode. The Extraction was a very good, well-made action scene and section, really. The finale mostly feels like both an epilogue to the last episode and a setup to Rogue One, which is kind of a strange feeling, like vibe for the episode, but I thought it worked really well. The episode really focused on what it means to fight for freedom, and I thought it did that so well. I thought it was a great finale. Overall thoughts on the season, I'll start with a few minor issues. To be honest, I didn't think the whole 1 year later thing was used to its full potential. I like seeing how things change and develop, especially with Gorman, But when I heard every arc would be a year apart, I was expecting it to have almost completely different stories for each arc. But it's still a great story regardless of what I was expecting. I also think, especially with the second arc, there could have just been more. Like, feels like they weren't using each arc to their full potential and just kind of limited to what they had to do just to set up Rogue One instead of just telling a full story about Andor and the rebellion. Back to the positives, however. The acting in the show is incredible. The lead actor, Diego Luna, is so obviously amazing. Genevieve O'Reilly is fantastic, especially the Welcome to Rebellion episode and her big speech. Stellan Skarsgård is amazing because of course he is. I personally think he doesn't get enough respect for his performances. Dennis Goh and Carl Soder are both doing incredible villain performances, and there are so many other amazing performances I don't even have time to mention. Fuck. More positives. It's all shot and edited incredibly well, especially in intense action scenes. Same thing goes for sound design, especially with TIE fighters in the Gorman section. So many technical aspects were done just amazing well. This is pretty easily the best Star Wars show. The writing and the directing goes beyond all the other Star Wars shows and just Disney Plus shows in general. It feels like it's made by someone who's trying to make a good story, not just someone trying to make a show to please all the fans, thinking, oh, they'll love this one, and then make the worst shit ever made. Looking at you, Obi-Wan. I love how this Star Wars production takes itself seriously, and is probably the only Star Wars production that makes the Empire proper and terrifying villains they should have been this whole time. Overall, this was another great season. I am disappointed they decided to end the show only after 2 seasons, but at least it was great. I'm giving Andor Season 2 a 9 out of 10. The prison arc was still the best arc in the whole show. Thank you. Like and subscribe. See you next time.